Welcome to video 4 of our series, Introduction to APA Formatting. For those who are just joining us, my name is Dr. Hilary Cobb. I'm a social work professor and the creator of the APA Formatting, a quick guide for students. So far in this video series, we have looked at how to create a cover page, how to format the body of a paper, and now we will look at how to do in-text citations. Now, in-text citations can be a little tricky. When you look at the quick guide, you'll see a checklist, but I really would like to go through each of these sections to make sure that you understand what you are checking. So first off, let's talk about what are in-text citations. In-text citations are a shortened version of your reference. Anytime you paraphrase or quote someone else's work, you have to make sure that you attribute that information to that person. Now, if we had to put their name and article title and journal title and date published all in your paragraphs, it would get cumbersome. So in-text citations are shortened and show where you got your information and make it easy for people to then find that information on your references page. In-text citations can be a little tricky because you can place them either at the beginning of your sentence or the end of the sentence, and they look slightly different if you are paraphrasing or restating information or if you are citing a direct quote. So let's jump in and look at in-text citation placement when you are paraphrasing information. Now, you can do the citation at the beginning of the sentence. This is really nice because it allows you to cite a specific source or study and create some variety in the placement. Here are some examples from the quick guide. You can see that with one author, in this case Petrin Lambert, which was one last name, you do the last name, then the date the article was published in parentheses, then what the study found. With two authors, you do the two last names, Gregory and Lampley, and then the date in parentheses and what they found. It's important to note that when you do an end of the sentence citation, you'll use an ampersand. When it's at the beginning of a sentence, you'll type out the word A and D, as you can see in these examples of two author citations. When you have three or more authors, regardless of how many, you use Davis et al., and then the date in parentheses. So regardless of the number of authors, you will always put the last name, the first last name listed, et space al dot, and then you'll put the date in parentheses. For this example, it would be Cobb et al. 2022 found that. While you may sometimes use a citation at the beginning of the sentence, most of the time people put it at the end. You will put the last name and the date. If you have two authors, it's last name, ampersand last name, and the date. And like we discussed before, if you have three or more authors, you do et al. And the date. So in your quick guide, there's an example that shows you how to do one author at the end of a sentence when paraphrasing, as well as two authors, Travers, comma, date, and then last name, ampersand last name, and the date. When you have three or more authors, you will do the first last name, et al., comma, and the date. Sometimes you may draw from two different sources for a paragraph. And in that case, you would do the three or more author citation, last name, et al., comma, date, and then a semicolon, the next source, last name, et al., comma, date, and parenthesis, period for the end of the sentence. So it's a nice way to show that maybe the information you got was from multiple sources. So let's talk about in-text citation placement for direct quotes, which are a little bit different. According to the APA manual, students should paraphrase instead of using a lot of direct quotes. Simply put, as paraphrases when you restate another's idea in your own words. While paraphrasing is best, there are some exceptions. Some exceptions to use a direct quote are to share a specific definition of an item or concept, or when the author has said something memorable. So with direct quotes, you're going to have the author or authors, last name, comma, date, comma, and a page or paragraph number to show exactly where you took the quote. In your quick guide, it shows you an example. The first sentence is where a citation is the beginning of the sentence, last name and last name, date, and then you put the page number after the direct quote. At the bottom, that's an end of text citation, and it is last name, ampersand last name, comma, date, comma, page number. You want to make sure that you have the page or paragraph number when you have a direct quote. And if you have used someone else's words, even if it's just a phrase or part of a sentence, you must use quotation marks. Otherwise, it is considered plagiarism. Now, there's always some exceptions when we talk about in-text citations. One is what happens if there's no name on the article. This is common with websites especially. You can put the organization that created it. For example, Mayo Clinic, 2006. Or you can put a shortened article title with quotes around it, like Finding Hope, 2009. This is a way to still alert your reader that you did use a source and that it is listed in more detail in the references page. What if there's no date? Well, you can put the phrase N.D. either as an in-text citation or at the beginning. It shows your reader that you acknowledge that someone wrote this information, but there wasn't an easily available date. So here again is that checklist. You'll see that the first part is any reference to paraphrased information from a source includes an in-text citation at the end of the sentences or at the beginning of the sentences. And the second part is that information that is directly copied from a source must include quotation marks around the cut and pasted text, the author's date, and page or paragraph number. If you have all of those elements, then your in-text citations are done correctly. Now that you have formatted the cover page, the body of the paper, and included in-text citations, we will look at the references page. See you soon.